Good morning. Yes, I'm that guy who's been rudely interrupting all your conversations for the past 2 days to try and get you to wear these fairly crazy pins. So more on that a little bit later. I want to start with a question. You may have asked yourself this, or you may not, but I think it's an important question that we address. Have you ever wondered where money comes from? Not necessarily who prints it or who instructs people to print it, but perhaps where the value behind that $20 bill lies. It used to be tied to gold until 1971 in the US, but today it's kind of tied to nothing. And if you ever were particularly curious about where money comes from, and you've tried to find an answer, then you may have even struggled to do that. It's quite staggering that even economists and bankers and policymakers are generally a little bit kind of in disagreement and a little bit confused about where money comes from. I find that quite staggering, really, for something which really forms the basis, and the whole of our lives revolve around money to an extent. The kind of house we're going to be able to buy is determined by the amount of money we have, the kind of car we drive. And this sort of, for me, is interesting. I think we need to start to understand a bit more about money and think about what we used to do before there was money. Right now, things are not going particularly well around the world. We're living in a time of economic upheaval. And we're not the first to do that. We've seen over the last 40, 50 years a pattern of boom and bust, and politicians continually promise to end boom and bust, particularly in the UK, and it just doesn't happen. We're currently going through a deeper crisis than we have done for a very, very long time, and people are hurting. People are hurting, and people don't necessarily deserve to hurt. Okay, if the old banker gets hurt, then we can settle for that, right? But guys in the street, communities are suffering badly. But graphs are great, but they don't give us the full picture. What does this look like? It's unemployment queues, it's people losing their homes, it's empty shops, it's buildings up for sale, it's houses up for sale. It's family businesses that have been run by the family, in some cases for generations, going to the wall. I look back with great fondness to my community back in Jersey, but I was born, Jersey Channel Islands, and used to go to the butcher and the baker and the sweet shop, and they were all little shops, and everyone knew each other, and it was kind of wonderful, and everyone supported each other, and we kind of lost that. Empty town centers. This is a place in Finland I was in over the summer. This is the middle of the day. There's just no one there. Everyone's gone out of town. There's big shopping centers. Everyone's driving to out-of-town malls. It's kind of depressing, I think. This is my sandwich shop back in Cambridge. It shut down 2 months ago. Again, very sad. It was a really nice little family-friendly run sandwich shop. And, if chocolate shops are going to the wall, then things have got to be bad, right? I mean, surely everyone turns to chocolate when things are particularly bad. And people are unhappy about this. We've seen the Occupy movement. We've seen a range of movements springing up around the world. And people are demonstrating. They're going out on the street, and they're really making their voices heard. And it's kind of maybe the first time that we've heard these voices so loudly because of social media and the internet and so on. It's really spreading quite quickly. In Greece, which is one country that's been particularly hard hit by the austerity measures their government's enforcing on them, huge demonstrations now. And what's really interesting is the reaction to it, though. You can go on the streets, you can demonstrate, you can protest, but ultimately you've really not going to necessarily change very much. In Greece now, bartering markets are springing up all over the country. People are going back to earlier means of exchange, which have long gone in most of the places where I've been and maybe the places where you live. Why did we stop doing this stuff? Why did we stop doing favors for each other in exchange for favors? Why did we stop swapping and bartering and working together? When did we decide that money was going to be the only thing we used to exchange among ourselves? And these are the kind of questions I'm asking in this project Means of Exchange. I'm trying to think about how can we mainstream different kinds of exchange so that on a daily basis we do a range of things. Money isn't always the best way to get what you want, right? You can do a favor for somebody, get a favor back. You can swap something you don't want anymore for something that you do want. In the UK, I think one of the most largest purchases people make, but use the least, are drills. Right? You buy a drill, you drill a hole, and it goes in the shed. And why don't we